So hi everyone, hope you're doing really well. Welcome to this episode where we're going to be looking at our key performance indicators. If you haven't seen the start of this, it might be worth just tracking back and seeing the iCard on screen now, which will take you back to our very first episode in this little mini series, which is our buy-to-let buying criteria, or our 6 buying principles, which are the ideas in green. But assuming you're here for this video, we're going to look at our KPIs, and they're in red and they start on the left hand side. And we start with, we will make 100 inquiries. That's pretty much phone calls or conversations about properties in our chosen investment areas that meet the 2 criteria of there's good tenant demand and also the opportunity to add value. 100 inquiries is 100 phone calls. If you go back to our activities episode, you'll all see that on screen now. We start to pre-fill in or pre-populate the PI sheet, the property information sheet, and on that phone call with estate agents, we'll be asking a series of questions, sort of beginning to pre-screen, removing opportunities that don't actually meet our criteria. So then that means we actually then go and do about 35 viewings. We'll get rid of 65% of potential leads on that phone call. Now you might think that's, I don't know, high, low. It is accurate because it is exactly what we do. But you could probably reduce that a little bit further, perhaps down to about 30 viewings, maybe 25 viewings. But we do think the viewings are really critical because remember, the viewing is not just about the property. Go back to a previous episode we've talked about, it's actually about the situation of the vendor and the opportunity to build estate agent rapport. So we go and do quite a lot of viewings relative to our inquiries and our purchases. But that's because we think it works for us. So 100 inquiries, we'll eliminate 65% of them and we'll do 35 viewings. And let me give an example of something we wouldn't go and view. If the estate agent says to us, there's a huge amount of interest in that property, we're doing block viewings on this date, this time, you can come and you've got 15 minutes. Would that be interesting to you? We would say, thank you so much, but not for us. So that's an example of a property that we wouldn't even spend our time on viewing because of the likelihood of getting an offer accepted if we've got about 20 other competitors is just, next to nothing. That's not worth the time. So then 35 viewings, we will then submit about 15 offers approximately. And one of those offers will lead to a purchase. Now it's interesting, why wouldn't you view 35 properties and put in 35 offers? Well, if I think the likelihood of submitting an offer based upon the phone call and based upon the viewing and the information I found about the vendor and the estate agent, if I think sometimes it's going to do long-term damage to the relationship, then I won't submit an offer. It will go into our sourcing system, we'll track it, and I'll maybe come back to an offer later on as I follow up. But sometimes it actually makes sense to not keep putting offers in. You look extremely desperate sometimes, and to be tactically astute perhaps, or strategically sensitive, then we would actually rather refrain from putting some offers in if you think it's going to damage our long-term prospects. 15 offers in is most likely going to lead to 1 purchase. So 100 inquiries, 35 viewings, 15 offers and 1 purchase. And one of the things that's really interesting about the KPIs for us is we know that once we've made about 100 inquiries, we've got a batch of 100 inquiries, we are almost certain that within there somewhere we have an opportunity we're going to end up purchasing. And same with viewings. We've done about 35 viewings. Again, we've had stuff where we've reviewed a lot less than 35 viewings. We've had about 8 viewings and we managed to have a purchase from that. But generally speaking, 35 viewings, we know then we've got a purchase in there somewhere. And the same, as soon as we've got about 15 offers submitted, then we know within that 15 we've got 1 purchase. So it really helps to keep the business on point and on track. And at any point, Beck and I can log in and have a look at our sourcing system, and we can get this feel. We get quite excited knowing that we're probably due for a completion soon, or an offer accepted soon. So there are KPIs. I don't know what they might look like for you. Do you track your inquiries, your viewings, your offers, and your purchases? Have you even begun it? I would love to know your thoughts on this episode. So if you've got any of those, then please share them. Equally, if you've got questions and like us to clarify anything about our KPIs, then share those too. Finally, thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode and indeed this little mini series of our buy-to-let buying process. If you did, please, before you leave, just leave a like. That'd be great. And if you haven't yet subscribed, then feel free to join us. We've got a lovely little property investor community about all things buy-to-let and buy, refurbish, rent, refinance. So apart from that, thanks ever so much for your support. As always, we do really appreciate it. My name is Josh Harrison, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.